Okay, so okay ba live? Hi to everyone who's here. Comment lang if you can hear me, if you can see me. Comment lang kayo. Check ko lang ha, making sure. So we're live. Hi everyone. Hello mommies. Hi titas. Hi ates. Awesome. You guys can hear me. That is very good to know. So today we're continuing the soft skills step-by-step program. So last month, we asked, yung skill na you guys want me to focus on the next one? And then a lot of you said communication skills. And I agree. Communication skills is one of the most important things that you can learn out there. Especially if you are just starting out, if you are kind of like me, I'm actually an introvert. I still very much shy in a lot of times. So it's very important that you know how to be able to communicate well, especially in the workplace. Even if you are someone who is just working from home, it's still very much important to have the right communication skills. So, are you guys ready? Are you guys ready to jump in to start learning how to communicate better when it just comes to just learning how to be able to express your ideas, be able to express your thoughts to your potential employer, your current employer? Because the thing with yun nga, yung when you have the right communication skills, it's easier for you to have interviews, for example. And I know that's one of the amazing things that Fhmoms does is being able to help you guys out with interviews. So I'm gonna share my screen na in a little bit. Okay. Okay, can everyone see this right? Okay, so communication skills for working online with a virtual ate. So just going right into it. For those who don't know who I am, my name is Lai Lacaba. I am the virtual ate. I've been working online since I was 15 years old. I started out really young. I started out as a content writer. I started out as a ghostwriter as well for a lot of different people. And then now I am running an outsourcing company here in Cebu City. We have about 40 plus employees. So I know the ins and outs of working online. I know the ins and outs of being able to bring people together to make sure that things get done. So yun yung pinaka specialty ko is making sure things get done. Okay, so I last month I also did the same thing, but I want to talk about teachability index. So this whole thing, I created this whole slides, all of this deck, all of the things that I'm going to teach you guys today has something to do with making you guys help be more confident and be more just able to communicate things better. So I need this teachability index. So teachability index teaches us that you have to have the willingness to learn and the new willingness to take action. So it's not enough that you guys are willing to take action on things. It's not enough that you're willing to just learn. It has to be both sides. That's the equation to success, or the equation to basically learning anything. So if you have these tools, for example, let's say you're 10 on learning and 10 on action, you are 100%. You're 100%. You're willing to learn. You're teachable. You're someone who's teachable in learning literally anything. Pero if you only have 10 on learning but you're not willing to take action, you're a zero. It's a multiplicative effect. So zero pa rin. So parang wala lang. So even if you just have 5 on learning, 5 on action, that's still better than zero. So mommies, titas, and ates, can I ask for a 10 in learning and 10 in action today? Is that something that I can ask from you guys, from you gals today for our lesson on communication skills? Can I get a 10 out of 10 for you? And you guys can just type in 100 or yes or I'm ready, just so I know that this is something that you all want. You all want to learn, that this is something that you want to have improve for yourself. Okay, so I'm seeing a bunch of yeses. Okay, so next. So why do you actually need to learn how to communicate? Why is it so important for you to know the what's the importance of being able to communicate? What's the importance of learning how to be someone who is able to put their ideas across, to be able to speak up, to be able to help also solve problems as part of communicating? So first is, like I said, it's for exchanging ideas. If alam nyo how to communicate with people, if you know how to structure things that the other person can understand, if you learn how to be able to create things, then yun din yung other side. If you know how to create things, when you're, for example, you're starting a project, or even like I said earlier, even when you're doing interview, you have to communicate well. So it's part of it is exchanging ideas. It also helps build confidence. Like I said earlier, I'm actually an introvert. Most days gusto ko tumago, gusto kong I just have meron ko lang yung milk tea ko lang, enjoy lang ako on the side. Pero I had to, becoming CEO, being someone who runs a company, I had to build my own confidence then. So that's one of the things, that's why of the biggest whys of why you need to learn how to communicate. Next one is, of course, then it builds authority. If you guys have probably seen it over and over again, yung mga valedictorian nyo, yung mga top team leaders nyo, yun yung mga tao na knew how to communicate. They were the people who knew how to be able to express their ideas. They knew how to speak up. Yun yung mga tao these are one of the skills that they had to learn to be able to build authority. If you guys look at yung TED Talk speakers, or any, like, biggest example is just Mommy MK. She has authority because she's able to communicate ideas. She's able to communicate what she means well. She's not afraid to speak up. And then, of course, it's helpful for, again, job interviews. If you gals master this skill of being able to communicate, it's easier for you to tell a boss about yourself, tell them your strengths and weaknesses, tell them what you're going to be able to do for them if you do get hired. And of course, for hitting goals, you can't really hit goals if you haven't communicated to anyone, now this is your goal. So for example, for goals, not just your fitness or your health, most of the time we need people who can help us, right? We need either someone who can be a trainer, or just even accountability partner mo lang na mag-check where you're at. That's why it's important that you learn how to communicate that well. And then, of course, if you are in a team setting, and then meron kayong goals, it's easier to hit that goals, to reach them, if you're able to communicate your vision, or saan ba yung papunta yung team nyo or yung project. It's easier. So yeah, like I said, managing a team, and then of course the personal life mo. As a mommy, as someone generally who's going to shift working from home, being able to communicate to your partner, to your family members, na okay, this is my boundaries. I need to be working at this time. I need to be someone who has to be on a call. For example, like for me, one of my own communication styles is, meron akong teddy bear nasa labas ng door ko when I'm doing a live, when I'm recording my videos for YouTube. Meron akong teddy bear sa labas. That's yun yung ginawa kong communication tool. Like, hey, no one come in my room, or no one knock on my room, or no one disturb me. Yung ginawa ko. So a lot of what you're learning today can be applicable then, not just in your work life, but also in your personal life. Okay, so how many of you have seen this? I love this image kasi ito yung pinaka makikita mong why communication is so important. So here, how projects really work. Paborito ko talaga to, and this makes me laugh every time I see it on 9gag or sa Facebook or saan man. So this is how the customer explained it. Kasi hindi clear, di ba? Kasi walang clear communication. How the project leader understood it. Yung swing nandito. How the analyst designed it. Dito, meron ng dalawang stick na hold na nandyan. Kasi this is how the project leader. So if ikaw yung project leader, you have to be clear sa team mo. Ano to? So dahil ito yung sinabi ng project leader, when dinesign siya, yung ganito daw. How the programmer wrote it, ganito. So it's a fail. It's not gonna work. How the better testers received it, parang ito. And then how the business consultant described it. So di ba yung mostly basta business consultant ka, it's gonna look so amazing. It's gonna be the best. It's gonna be so comfortable when you swing. And then how the project was documented. It's part of communications then to keep things documented, to make sure na you write down. Parang imagine if you're writing out a recipe for a cookie or a cake or yung paboritong adobo ng mommy mo, it has to be documented, diba? It's better that it's written out. Ano yung step by step, how many cups, how many tablespoons yung kailangan. So that's part of communication. What operations installed? Ito lang yung nilagay, wala yung swing, di ba? It's just a rope. And then how the customer was built, parang pang roller coaster, ang mahal-mahal ng binild ng customer. How it was supported, walang support kasi walang clear communication. And then what the marketing advertise is ito yung in-advertise, yung swing lang, not even the tree, it was just the swing. And then we have wait, move ko lang to. Hindi ko makita. And then dito yung disaster recovery plan, and then when it was delivered, na-deliver na siya, wala, snow na, hindi na magagamit yung tree. What the customer really needed was actually just a tire swing. So it wasn't even what the marketing said it was. It was just a tire swing that they needed. And then what it ended up being was it was a tree on fire. So this is why communication is really important in the workplace. Kasi yun nga, if you are not clear on what the project should look like, or what the client wants, or being able to communicate from what the client think that they said to the actual thing na has to be the outcome, it's going to be a disaster. It's going to just fail in a lot of different ways. So you have to have the right skill to be able to show people what you need to be done, at hindi not everyone not ending up in this yung parang disaster na talaga, worst case scenario na lang yung deliver kay client, diba? It's not a pretty sight. Okay, so there are about 4 different types of communication. First is written, of course, which is email, yung quick messaging. So, Facebook, WhatsApp, Viber, ano pa yan. That's a quick messaging. And then, of course, Slack or Google Hangouts. And then we have the articles or books and captions. That's also another way of communication, because when you read like different books, like non-fiction books maybe, or kahit yung fiction books, that's the way of the author communicating to you. So that's one type of communication. Next one, of course, yung verbal. So interviews and meetings, doing videos, that's another way of verbal communicating, recordings. And then we have the visual type of communication. There's still also visual. Hindi lang yung usual na iisip mo na written and verbal. There's also visual. So this is logos, websites, basically any branding. Anytime that you guys see yung logo ng Fhmoms, you know that that's them communicating that, oh, you know this brand. This is us. So that's another type of communication. So for any branding mommies, titas, and ates out there, that is part of communicating. When you're communicating with a customer based on the logo that you put up, based on the website that you put up, because that is, again, all part of their branding. And of course, there's the non-verbal, which is just body language, gestures, and then the tone and pitch of voice. So for any one of you who want to become a public speaker maybe, or gusto nyo magawa ng training, parang ganito, if it's something na again, you guys want to do, part of it is doing the right kind of, having the right kind of communication skills, and also the non-verbal, yung body language mo, the way that if I had my voice really soft and really tiny, you guys probably won't be hear it. So it's part of it. If yung gesture ko parang ganun lang, parang chill lang ako masyado, you guys won't be listening to me. So again, that's part of having, that's one of the different types of communication. Hindi lang yung naririnig mo, nakikita mo. It's also how a person presents themselves. So it is more than just words, because then it's how you say it. So yun nga, yung tone and your body language. It's also why you say it. Ano yung intention mo behind what you're communicating? Ano yung point mo? Ano yung central point of why you want this to be said or you want this to be done? And then, of course, yung timing. So if, let's say, you have to time your communication, right? Because if there's an not really a work emergency, just something that you had a question to your boss, pero yung timing mo, it's 3 a.m. on his end, it's not good timing. So you need to have good timing also when it comes to communicating. And then, of course, what not to say. Meron ding mga what not to say, not just what to say, but what not to say. So you need to form para yung clarity and the boundaries, na these are the things that you shouldn't say or you shouldn't mention. Of course, if someone just went through sickness or something, you're not gonna pressure them to do things that they can't do themselves. So that's what not to say. And then, of course, what you want to say. Ano yung goal? Parang same lang siya with why you say it. Pero this is now what do you actually mean? What is the goal? What is the end goal for this? So speaking of, here are different goals of communication. So one is to inform or be informed. So for example, for this is one type of communication I'm doing with you, where I'm informing you of something, I'm teaching you of something. I'm showing you, again, the different types or the different ways that you can improve your communication skills. So you are right now being informed. That's the same way as if you are telling your kid to pick up their toys, that's you informing them, like, hey, you should not leave this here. And then, of course, the other side is you're being informed. Next is to move things forward. So yun nga sinabi ko kanina, communication, when you have the right communication skills, goals can be hit so much faster rather than parang wala kayong clear end kung saan ba kayo papunta ng project nito. And then, of course, for clarity, if merong book na for some reason, hindi ko maisip ngayon. Dare to Lead by Brene Brown, where clarity is kind. If you are showing as much clarity as you can to someone, if you're showing as much, ano yung magbibigay mo sa kanila so they have a clearer picture, that's actually kinder than leaving some blind spots for different people. Because then you can work faster, you can work easier, and of course, you have a better relationship. And then, of course, the last one is to persuade or influence. So, pareho lang siya ganyan yung example ko na you wanna influence your kid to clean up their toys. You wanna persuade your boss to maybe give you a raise or promotion, di ba? Or you wanna persuade them to give you the job. So again, having this skill talaga na being able to communicate well gives you so much advantage than people who have not. So inom lang ako. So communicating with you, I'm gonna drink a little bit. Kasi mataas pa to. Taas ng discussion kasi I really want all of you to learn this kasi it's so important in the long run. It's so important that you have the capabilities of being able to work in a way na everyone knows what you mean and everyone is clear on the goal or where you're going as well as an employee. Okay, so these are the different areas for improving your communication skills. So first, actually, is not even talking. It's not talking, it's not the nonverbal cues, it's actually listening. So you probably have seen this over and over again in a lot of different books. Then if you've watched other YouTube videos on communication skills, the first talaga is always to listen, is to learn how to listen. Meron pang tawag na actively listen. There's a difference between hearing someone and actually listening to someone. So this is one of the ways that you can learn how to do that. So I'm actually going to start with don'ts. I'm always going to start with don'ts. So you guys know the boundary of ano ba yung safe and ano ba yung hindi safe. So when you're listening, do not wait to talk. This is one of the easiest ways na you can parang destroy yourself in a little bit. If nagwi-wait ka lang, if you're just waiting for someone to stop talking so you can talk or you can insert yourself. So when you want to listen, you're actually taking note of that person, you're actually looking them like, okay, I'm giving you my full attention. So you're not waiting to talk lang, you're not waiting to interrupt, you're not waiting to give your idea. Yun din yung isa. Don't just be that person who's just waiting to give their idea. Pinapatapos mo lang sila to say something and then you're not even really listening. And then of course, don't look at other devices. As much as possible, when I'm having a meeting, yung phone ko, tago yan sa bag ko or it's far away from me. Kasi para hindi ako natatempt if someone texts me. Kasi I know if it's an emergency, enough people will call. That's just how I keep it in mind. So as much as possible, don't look at other devices. Don't look at, just because wala off-cam kayo, for example, you're doing a video call at si client lang yung mayroong video, ikaw naka-off lang kasi bandwidth more, doesn't mean that you can pick up your phone and scroll through Facebook during the call. That's not a good practice. Just, don't put it away. You're giving them your full attention. And of course, don't give advice unless asked. This has happened so many times where someone actually just needs someone to listen. Yung nag-rant sila or they're just talking about their feelings, they're talking it through. Sometimes it's so tempting, especially for us na we're people who might have gone through the same thing that they have. Na sasabihin, wait, I know how to solve your problem. No, wait, I know na yun, anong dapat gawin mo. That's blocking that person kasi from communicating themselves. So imagine mo, if the tables are turned, if you are the one who's telling them about the problem, if you're someone who's telling them, these are the things I'm struggling with, and then automatic sasabihin sila, wait, alam ko na what to do. Don't worry, alam ko yan. So, parang ayaw mo na mag-share, di ba? So, if you want to be a very proactive listener, if you want to be an active listener, then you want to give advice if it's actually just ask. So one of the ways I solve this, kasi yun nga, sometimes we do want to jump in. I ask a person, and before a person starts, telling me about the problem, I would ask, do you need a listener or a coach? So yun na ask ko, do you want something? Do you need a person who just supports you? Do you want someone who just listens to you, or do you want to actually someone who can give you advice? So that's just creating boundaries then with the person you're trying to help. And then, of course, don't interrupt as much as possible. It's harder when it's kung when it's video kasi hindi mo nakikita masyado yung cues when they're about to speak, when they're about to ask a question, and unlike yun nga in person, it's harder, pero as much as possible, parang if you're about to ask a question and then you're not sure if done na sila, just give even just a 5-second gap or 2-second gap between them finishing what they were saying before you ask the question, or before you even add something in their discussion. Kasi when you interrupt kasi, of course, it stops the flow of the person. If someone interrupted me right now, someone stopped like, hey, wait, I wanna, or someone knocks on my door, I'll be interrupted. My flow will be, I will have to kind of restart what I was saying, so, right? So you don't interrupt if you're trying to actively listen. Okay, so now the does or the do's. The first one is ask questions. When you want to be an active listener, of course, you want to ask questions. You want to be the person who speaks up if something is not clear. You want to be the person who lets them feel that you are listening because you're asking clear questions. And then, of course, don't ask questions that they just answered. So yun yung parang disruptive sometimes. I've had it where I taught people something and then I just said the answer literally 5 minutes ago, but because they weren't listening, they asked the question again. And of course, everyone else is you had that classmate then, probably in college or high school, na sinabi pa ng professor ano yung answer, they will ask ano yung answer. So ask questions, but then ask it as because you listened. Hindi lang because you didn't listen. Ask questions because you listened. And of course, one really great way is actually called repeating back. So whenever there's something na yun nga, hindi clear, whenever there's something na or you said it and then it's you just want clarity, na okay, so you can say, okay, so this is what I heard, or you can say, oh, is this what you mean, and then you repeat back yung exact words that they said or what you heard from them, kasi sometimes nga merong disruption between what you understood and what they actually said. So when you're repeating back, you're asking for clarity, you're asking for understanding on this topic. So that's why you want to repeat back, because then sometimes, and I've seen this happen so many times with yung clients namin, and then yung provide namin na assistant to them, na repeat back ni assistant like, hey, this is what you meant, and sabi ni client, no, this is what I want you to do. That right there creates clarity. Even if you are proven wrong, that's okay, because then there's still clarity between you and whoever you're talking to. And then next is wrap up with action steps. So this is something that I rarely see other people do. So I want to teach you then. Kasi I know your bosses would be impressed if you do this. Is every time you finish a meeting, every time you finish like a team building or anything like that, there are action steps. Okay, this is what Maria is going to be doing. This is what Anne is going to be doing. So it's clear seeing who's in charge of what. Doing that makes the other person who just spoke, who just gave these tasks, felt like they were listened to. So of course that person will want to communicate with you more. So when you wrap up with action steps, when you summarize what needs to be done, what are the next steps, then it's easier for everyone. You're creating clarity for everyone. I know, again, it shows that you listened. And then another way that you can show that you listen is that affirm what they just said, and then it's basically just empathy. You're saying, okay, I heard what you said. This is what you said, and I agree with you. But this is, even if you're kind of disagreeing in some way, if you're showing them another way that they can do it, you still have to empathize with the person. Don't be a bulldozer like no, you're wrong. You have to listen. You have to, okay, this is what I heard you say. Again, you guys are noticing that I'm changing my pitch of my voice, how soft I'm talking. Okay, I heard you. I know this is what you meant. So when you have that, yung parang repeat back kung sinabi nila, na gets mo, but you're still, this is still a thing that I'm suggesting. It still makes them feel heard. It still makes them feel na what they said was valid, because you as much as possible, you don't want to invalidate someone's idea kasi you shut them down, you shut that person down, and you also hate it when that happens to you, diba? So you have to affirm what they just said, and then have empathy over their situation. If it's different parts of the different situations, but then if the situation calls for it of being empathetic, of being someone who understands, then you are going to be such a better communicator in that way. And then of course yung last is take notes. I love it. Fun talaga ako when I'm even just doing an interview, because I've interviewed, I don't know, parang 300 plus people na in the last 5 years, and they're taking out a notebook and then they're writing notes, especially if it's a question that they ask me. For example, if they're asking me, ano ba yung work hours? Ano ba yung setup? And then they're actually taking out a notebook and they're writing notes. Yun yung favorite people. That's always a good sign for me that this is someone who is detail oriented. This is someone who listens, and this is someone who's looking forward to actually working with me. So if you're able to show that to your potential employer, na you are someone who listens, then you are going to be a favorite. Kasi yun yung sinabi ko. A lot of the people who I hired na note takers, interview pa lang, they're my favorite people that I work with. Kasi I know that they will take care of things and get things done. So keep in mind that of being able to take notes and then share those notes, yun nga, wrap up with action steps at the end. So you show again that you're listening, that you're not just a passive listener, or you're not just hearing them or waiting for them to finish. Okay, so I hope that was clear on listening. I cannot stress enough how important listening is. Okay, so next one is nonverbal communication. So don'ts is have your phone nearby. So really bad about having my phone right now nearby here because I was going to open Facebook on my phone so I can look at your comments, but then I realized no, I'll look at the comments later. I'll respond to the comments later. So it's just there, pero same thing as I don't have any devices that can distract you nearby. Phone is just the number one thing that we always get distracted by. Alam niyo yan. So just as much as possible, don't have your phone nearby when you're having a conversation with someone. Another one is lean back. Yun nga, sinabi ko, if I was just doing this, parang wala lang. Hi, parang ganon. Hi guys. Hi, good afternoon. Parang I'm not interested, di ba? I'm just, okay, I'm here. Same thing when you're doing an in-person interview or an in-person meeting. If the person that you're talking to is leaning back, parang ganito, parang wala lang, parang free to the world, you don't want to listen to them, diba? So you have to keep in mind to not lean back. Funny enough, that's my name, Lean Lian. But try to look like you are actively really listening, and that involves you leaning in, like what I'm doing. I'm even though you guys aren't here, I'm pushing my body forward, like, okay, this is the next thing that you need to do. Kasi you guys are more inclined to listen to me that way. Kaysa, yun nga, kung ganito lang ako, parang you guys wanna close the live, di ba? So, yun nga, you have to keep that in mind. And then, don't cross your arms. Same thing. If I had my arms like this the whole time, parang ayaw nyo, you don't wanna listen to me, di ba? You don't wanna listen to me kasi yun to, naka-cross arms ko eh. Parang taray-taray ko pa tingnan, di ba? So, as much as possible, don't cross your arms when talking to someone. And then, for does, have a relaxed stance. So, I don't mean yung parang super relaxed, parang ganito. Yung open legs, not super open, parang hindi ka nakatight yung legs mo. If you're talking in person, parang nakatuck away na yung legs mo to the side, and then you have your arms down, or your arms on your lap maybe, or your notebook. Parang ganon. You're not too stressed. I've seen too many din na yung hunched sila, they're too parang natatakot sila sa akin. So it's better to have a relaxed stance. Na you're okay, I'm here, I'm confident about what I'm doing. Parang ganon. And then next is smile. That's one thing I really like doing during lives, or even when I'm doing a video call, is kahit masakit na yung dito ko, I always keep smiling pa rin. Kasi I know it helps the other person. I know it helps whoever's listening to me when I'm smiling. It also helps the tone of your voice if I'm smiling, di ba? So, it's always good to be smiling, especially not even when just on video, kahit yung voice call lang if you're on a telephone, and then you're smiling. Pansin mo, if yung mga telemarketers yung tatawag sa'yo na, "Hi, ma'am, meron kaming ganitong promo." Usually, they're smiling at the other end kahit hindi mo sila nakikita. Kasi it does help your tone of voice. It also helps with your own of the way that you're delivering, and also helps, of course, to make you look more approachable. Kasi kung ganito lang ako, like, oh, okay, mag-relax stance kayo, then smile lang kayo, parang hindi ako interested, di ba? Parang hindi ako into it. And then now I'm changing, nag-iba yung stance ko. So keep that in mind, is smile then, is show them that you're interested, smile. This is something that you're interested in, this is something that you want to know, so smile. Next is look at the camera or person. Ito yung pet peeve, sa akin lang to. I'm not sure other employers. Pet peeve ko lang to. When I'm interviewing someone and then they're not looking at the camera. Parang ganito, nandito sa taas yung webcam nila, yung setup nila nandito sa taas. And then they're looking at because they're looking at me. Dito sa laptop sila nakatingin. Hindi na, so for example, for all of you, dito ako nakatingin. Like, oh, yes, ma'am. Oh, ma'am. That's such a pet peeve for me kasi parang he's not looking at me or she's not looking at me. So I'm not sure if they're actually getting what I'm saying. So look at the camera of the person that you're talking to. Same thing if you are doing a personal one-on-one. Look at the person that you're talking to in front of you. Huwag kang papunta doon, huwag kang papunta dito, the person that you're talking to. That's part, again, that's another part of listening, of actively listening, is looking at the person, maybe not always in the eye. One thing that has helped me sometimes, if I'm talking to someone, if I'm doing an in-person interview, so I will look at their nose sometimes, or I'll choose like a cheek or an eyebrow maybe that I'm looking at, para lang hindi parang uncomfortable. Because I know for some people, it is uncomfortable. So just keep that in mind. Then is when you're communicating with people, look at the camera and then or the person, para they also feel that they're being heard. Okay, so, okay. So learn how to read cues. So on the other side then, when it comes to nonverbal communication, is you also need to learn how to read their own nonverbal cues. So same din, parang boomerang lang. Imagine if they're the ones who are kind of not interested, or they're not really listening, they're looking at their phones, or they're not really smiling. Then you ask, like, hey, does it seem like this is something that you're interested in? Hey, is this still something that we want to continue? Para you are, again, you're showing that you're noticing them, that you're not just a passive speaker, that you're also noticing what they're doing and what they're not doing. So you need to also learn how to read cues. So there's a lot of different books out there on how to read nonverbal communication. You can go through and study and the does and don'ts. Pero yun yung pinaka-basic yung sinabi ko, is when they're leaning back or when they have their arms crossed na parang hindi sila comfortable, or when they're too nervous, or because then you can help that other person feel more confident, just more comfortable with where they're at. Yun yung nagagawa if you are someone who knows how to read cues. And of course, if they're getting sleepy, if they're getting bored, you can notice that, and then you can change the subject, or you can ask, hey, do we want to postpone this? So ganun lang. That's one of the ways that you can improve that communication skill. So next, ito yung paborito ko, yung stress management kasi. Kasi a lot of the times, meron talagang situation, hindi yan maiiwasan. Kahit saan ka pumunta, there's going to be a stressful situation. There's always going to be a place where you didn't know it was coming, a time where you didn't know it was going to be this bad. But it happens, and it has to be part of what you prepare yourself for when you're working online, when you're working in general. Kasi kahit nga in person, di ba? Kahit in person na jobs, you still have to handle stress. And it's not just work, again, not just work stress, it can be personal life stress. You need to learn how to manage that and be able to communicate that well. So, yung mga don'ts natin, don't think that it's all about you. Sino dito ang guilty of yung partner nila, they don't mean this, pero yung they think that, oh, you just doing this to spite me. You're just doing this to make me mad. Those are such familiar lines for me. You're just doing this because you're acting out because I said something to you. One of the first things when it's a stressful situation is don't make it all about you. Kasi most of the time, it's probably not. It's probably the other person, or it's probably something that you don't see. It's probably something that you did not anticipate. So keep in mind to not make it about you. Reflect on that. Try to look at things and yung tinatawag na macro point of view from a larger scale. What is it that they're actually talking about? And keep in mind that's probably not about you. And of course, don't react lang. A lot of the times when we're in a stressed situation, when things are moving too fast, hindi natin alam what's happening. When you react lang, and there's a difference between reacting and responding, di ba? When you're reacting, parang if you see and this has happened to me, when I go to the kitchen and then everything's a mess. Everything is merong nakahalo na pots and pans, may nakahalo na plates. Parang yung first reaction is, react. Reaction is magagalit ka. Like, hoy, anong ginawa? I thought we planned this na we have to keep things clean, blah, 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 diba? You're reacting. But when you're responding, you take a pause, and then you think na, okay, maybe there's a reason why they didn't wash the dishes. Maybe there's a reason why they didn't do their side, and I need to be able to see what it is and not just react. You're taking that pause. Which, and the next one is, then don't engage in gossip when you're already in a stressful situation. Engaging in gossip makes it so much worse. So as much as possible, don't engage in gossip, don't engage in talking to someone behind their back, because it makes everything worse, especially if you're gossiping with someone who has no context, if wala silang background on what's happening, if they have no idea what happened to create the problem, and then you're just telling them like, oh, ito yung problem, ito yung blah, blah, blah. They take nila, and then of course they're gonna spread that this. That's how gossip works. But if you are already in a stressful environment and you engage in gossip, you make things worse with your boss, with the person that you're helping, because you're engaging in gossip, and of course it does not help anything move forward. So as much as possible, when you are in this situation, just don't engage in gossip. Just if someone is trying to engage you in gossip, just stop, like, no, it's okay, I don't need to hear it, I don't need to know, because it doesn't really help. And then the next one is, just don't complain. So one of the ways na yung miscommunications happen is when you complain too much and you don't actually have the intention of fixing things. So complaining is when I myself define complaining as if you're bringing up a problem, but you're not actually wanting to solve it. You're just trying to get attention. You're just trying to get empathy, but you're not telling them what's a possible solution, or what's a solution that you're already thinking about doing. So, for example, let's say I had a problem with my milk tea. Wala akong problem with milk tea ko. I'm happy with this. So, pero let's say it had something bad, or meron siyang ano ba yung problema. If I was going to be just telling you, and you guys can't do anything about it because you're across the computer from me, that's complaining. Pero if I was going to call up chat time, if I was gonna call him, hey, I did not like your milk tea today, ito yung problema, or this is not what I ordered, they can help me fix my problem, di ba? Yun talaga yung mangyayari. So you talk to the person. If you can't find out figure out the solution yourself, then you talk to the people who can. You talk to the people who can help you with it. So yun nga, if I had a problem with this, with my amazing milk tea, I would call chat time and not tell you. Kasi yun nga, it doesn't help. It's the same thing with engaging in gossip. You're not actually talking to the person who can help you solve that problem. Okay, so ano yung does? What do you actually do when you're in a stressful environment and then you want to communicate your idea as well? So the first one is take a pause. So I said this earlier, when it comes to the difference of the reacting and responding. When you're responding, you're taking that pause. There's that gap between seeing something and then wanting to take action. There's always that gap. So you want to take a pause and actually see things logically, or try to disengage yourself from the situation so everything is a little bit clearer. And then you want to ground yourself with your senses. So a lot of the time, kung parang yung nangingidit na, kung parang gusto mo nang mag-attack, parang yun nga sinasabi, you see red, parang wala ka nang ibang nakita, nagalit ka na lang talaga. So you want to ground yourself with your sentence. You want to make sure that you're not gonna do something that you regret. So grounding yourself with senses is seeing what you can touch, seeing what you actually see. You're looking around, you're trying to hear out ano ba yung nangyayari. You're trying to ground yourself with yung smell or whatever it is, but you're trying to ground yourself to like, okay, nothing's really like super on fire, okay lang lahat. Parang you're taking a pause. And then when a problem and solution actually come up, you want to wrap it up again with summary. So earlier I said with action step, ano yung you want to summarize ito yung problem. What do we want to do about it? Ito ang solutions na binigay ni Juan or Juana. Ano yung gagawin natin? So you want to wrap up with a summary, especially, again, when it's a stressful environment, parang wala kasing organization most of the time. So you want to wrap up with a summary. This is what happened. What do we want to do about it? And then be willing to compromise, of course. There's a lot of the time, you might not be the person who is right. You might not be the person that they should be listening to. So you have to be willing to compromise yourself. Next. By the way, before I go to giving feedback, nagigets nyo what I'm talking about when it comes to communication, when it comes to being able to be a person who can express themselves online when it's an online workplace. Nagigets nyo ba? Wait, I'm going to... Marami nag-watch. Yay! Hello, mommies, titas, and ates. I want to take a pause. Can you talk a little slower? Yes, I am. I've been keeping in mind how I talk, because I know I can talk really fast, really quickly. Okay, so Yeah, let me know if meron kayong questions. Make sure to comment them below, and then later on, I'll actually go through them one by one. Okay, so next, on giving feedback. So whenever there's a problem, or one of the biggest ways that you can communicate effectively is when you're giving people feedback. If they did something right, not only when they did something wrong, it's also when they did something right. If they hit a particular goal that you guys have been aiming for, it's really important that you know how to give feedback. So how do you actually give feedback? So don'ts. Again, we're starting with don'ts. Don't attack the person. Is again the same thing. If you're the receiving end of that, if you're the receiving end of the person who's getting attacked, you don't like it, diba? It's the same thing. You have to structure it in the same way. Is that don't attack the person. Don't attack the person who did something wrong, because at the same time you don't want to feel that way. So don't attack the person. I'm quoting it attack because sometimes it's not a physical attack. Sometimes it's a verbal attack, or sometimes it's a very maybe a manipulative attack. So it really depends on the situation. But as much as possible, if you're giving feedback, don't attack the person. Also, don't assign blame. If everything has gone wrong, it does not feel good to be the person that you're being blamed to. You have to keep in mind that it probably is a team effort. There's probably someone else, or it was something that was out of their control. So as much as possible, don't assign blame. Especially if you're the leader, if you're the manager, because then you are going to be someone who they will keep in mind as someone who attacks, as someone who doesn't take feedback, as someone who doesn't understand things as they come up. So as much as possible, don't assign blame. And then don't just assume what you've been told. So let's say, a coworker said nga, uy, sinabi ni blah, 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 ganito ka daw. Don't assume lang. Actually look for evidence. Actually look for ano ba yung totoo. Actually look for how is this actually true? How is this a fact when it comes to giving feedback? So yun nga sinabi ko. So let's say merong employee si Ann. Si Ann sinabi ni Julio na nag-cheat or merong ginagawa para lang she looks productive but she's actually not productive. And then of course you're going to think like, okay, ano yung magagawa ko to prove that either Julio was right or wrong. So putahin mo yung timestamps niya, titingnan mo what they actually did. So you were able to actually narrow down ano ba yung facts, what is the actual truth and the reality here, and you're not just assuming what I've been told. You're not just saying that this is truth because this person told me that this is. So yun. And then don't share with those not involved. So if you're giving feedback to someone, if you are going to give someone, especially if they did something bad, as much as possible, don't share if hindi sila affected. If yung person na kasi teammate mo lang, or hindi superior, if they're not involved in the situation, if they're not involved in the problem, don't share that. Kasi you're trying to make sure that the person that you're giving feedback doesn't feel attacked, doesn't feel na sinisingle out sila. So don't share this information if they're not involved. And it's the same thing with all types of communication. If they're not involved, don't try to involve the other people. Kasi parang nagagossip ka na rin kasi you're just stating a problem without wanting to really solve it. And of course, if you're on the receiving end of the person getting feedback, is don't take it personally. Because a lot of the time, it's not. It's something, again, that's beyond your control. It's something that just happened. It's something that was not anticipated. So don't take it personally. So next, as then we have the actual do's. When you're giving feedback, focus on the good. See, di ba may sinasabi na sandwich method? You have the soft, this is what you did, this is yung bad thing that you did, and then this is now the good thing. When you're giving feedback, you want to, as much as possible, focus on the good. Don't make the meat really big in your sandwich and then thin lang yung sliced bread mo. So focus on the good as much as possible. If you're giving feedback, for example, let's say it's a really bad, like they missed an email, for example, for a really, really big meeting that they needed to be in. So you can say, I know you're actually a really good person. I know that you kicked butt at this. I saw that you actually watched the recording for the meeting. So that's really good. But you missed it. You still missed it. And I really look forward that the next time that you see the email right away, that you make yourself be someone who notices if something goes wrong. So ganun lang. You keep that in mind na you don't have to really focus on what's just the bad thing that they just did. You also remind them that you're a good person. And then of course take ownership. You have to take ownership din ano yung part mo doon na you didn't do, or because it probably is. So for example, for that example, I should have done a better job. Definitely, I should have done a better job at reminding you. I should have done a better job at making sure that you were going to be there. So you're taking ownership. And then another way is just practice and write it out. If you don't feel confident enough to give someone feedback, then you practice it in front of a mirror. You look at yourself in the mirror, like, oh, okay, so Anne, this is what you did wrong. Parang ganun lang. Para you're making sure that you're hitting the right stride when you're communicating, because you want to be clear. You don't want to be vague when you're giving feedback. Kasi if you're just saying, you were late at one time, that's not clear enough. Pero if you say, oh, you were late at one time when we had a really good meeting with the client last week, I really expected you to be there, parang ganon. And then you can even write it out. If you don't want to practice on a mirror, you can just write it out, or you can have it on an email. Then you read it over and over again until you feel more confident enough to give it. And then separate the person from the result. So yun yung sinabi ko kanina, don't take it personally or don't attack the person. So part of that is, yun yung example ko kanina na you said, I know you're not this person. I know you're not usually late. I know you're not usually miss things. Kasi most of the time, they're probably not. It might have been just a one-time thing, di ba? So you want to separate that they're not the person who caused this. This is just the result of what they did. This is the result. So you're not, attacking them as, you're so lazy, kaya na late ka. That's attacking them. That's now, giving feedback as a person and not as what happened. So you have to keep that in mind. And then give it in a timely manner. Diba earlier I said that communication is also about timing. So if you give feedback for something that happened 1 month ago, it's probably not going to be as impactful as if you did it within 2 to 3 days of the thing happening. Because of course, sometimes hindi nila alam that they actually did something wrong. That's one of the worst parts. Is sometimes when you're not clear in your communication enough, that other person probably doesn't know that they actually did something wrong. So you have to give feedback in a timely manner. You have to give feedback in a way that they will get it right away as it happens. You're not waiting for ano pa na petsa to actually tell them that this is something that you did wrong. And then of course, be empathetic. No one is perfect. Alam niyo yan, no one is perfect. No one tries to be perfect. So you have to be empathetic, because sometimes when things go wrong, like for me, I know that something is wrong with most of a person I'm working with. If they're starting to kind of be low, if they're not replying as fast, because then something might be happening in their life, in their personal life. So you have to be empathetic with people. You have to keep that in mind, that's people are not robots. People are not AI. They're usually people who are just trying their best. You have to always assume that someone is trying their best in all times. So you have to be empathetic when you're giving feedback. Kasi alam mo, ano yung feeling on the other side of it when you're receiving feedback. Na iniisip mo, I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have done this. I could have done that better. They're already hard on themselves. So be empathetic enough when you're giving feedback. And then end with what to improve on. So you always want to reiterate, parang binabalik mo lang, okay, I know you're not this person, and I look forward the next time you're early, that you're there. You let me know if you didn't see the email. Parang you're ending with you're focusing on the good. You're ending with what to improve on. Hindi na bini-baby mo sila, kasi that's I definitely don't subscribe to that, yung bini-baby mo. You at some point you have to draw the line. Pero if it's their first time getting feedback, then it's something that they probably didn't know was done wrong. They probably didn't know was a line, was a boundary. So you have to end it with what do you want to improve them with. So this is the part of communication where you want to persuade or influence someone. Okay, so next one is, now I want to talk about a little bit about the tools that you can help you with having proper communication. So those the does on it, we not really had don'ts on the communication tools, is choose a main channel for communication. A lot of the time, kasi marami na masyado yung communication tools. Yung nga, may Hangouts, may Facebook, may Slack, may WhatsApp, may Viber. Marami na. So yung when you're talking to a workmate, when you're talking to your boss, you need to choose a main channel for communication. Para doon ka lang mag-check. You don't have to open everything else yung isa lang. So for example, in our own company, yung main mode of communication namin is WhatsApp for a lot of the employees I work with. Kasi it's easy, it's on my phone. Kasi if it's going to be on Slack or anywhere else, I may not check. So WhatsApp is the easiest one. It's also one I use for my personal life. So yun yung main channel of communication. Kasi if you have too many places that you're talking to people to, yun nga, magkakaproblema kayo. Kasi let's say yung sinat natin, okay, yung main mode communication natin is email, pero you send something really important on Messenger. If they don't check Messenger as much as you do, magkakaproblema talaga. So you have to really keep in mind that you need to choose a main channel for communication to make sure na isa lang yung place na chine-check mo, isa lang yung place na chine-check ng employer mo. At walang crossing. Kasi one of the worst ones maybe is kung marami yung places na you have to check, sometimes they'll send like the same thing over two channels at hindi nila, let's say they sent like, hey, did you confirm the interview? And then sinend nila sa email, sinend din nila sa WhatsApp. And then you replied on WhatsApp like, yes, sir, I already confirmed. Pero they check the email, magkakaproblema talaga. So you need to choose a main channel with your boss, with your coworker. Saan kayo magko-communicate most of the time? Kasi that will really help you in the long run. And then of course, like I said, set boundaries. Ano ba yung time na hindi sila pwede mag-communicate with you? Ano ba yung time na it's just a no-no? You're like, I'm not gonna be working on a Sunday. Keep that in mind. You can't say that to your boss. Now you saying, I'm not going to be able to work on Sundays, blah, blah, blah. You can't say that. That's part of setting boundaries. You can also saying, you can't ask me about my family. if you're that kind of person, you can't ask me about, blah, 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 because then that might actually make me less productive. So that's part of setting boundaries when you're setting the things that they shouldn't ask you or they shouldn't say with you. So that's part of it. And another is how often can they talk to you, for example. Then you're also setting those boundaries, because it's really important to make sure that there's no miscommunication. And then you also, on the other side of it, you ask them, what are your boundaries? What's something that I should make sure that I don't cross with you? What is the line here that I can't cross, to make sure that we have the professionalism, so we have a good work relationship, diba? And then set the main schedule for communicating. So ito, I love this kasi for us in our company, we have a meeting every Monday at 1 p.m. Yun yung meeting that's all 40 something people in our company. May schedule talaga kami na company meeting. So here they can ask anything na hindi clear. They can ask about their pay. They can ask yung mga ganun na everyone has to be involved with. So for example, let's say merong na-raise yung price ng PhilHealth and then they weren't able to know about it. They'll ask like, uy, in my payslip, parang mas mataas yung PhilHealth this month. Then I can address like, okay, ito yung ginawa ng PhilHealth last February, ganito, they had to raise their prices. Parang ganun lang. They have a place na they don't have to talk to each other and then merong miscommunication. They have a place where they can talk to me directly and then I can tell everyone else. Kasi it's better for parang ganun, para you don't have to also keep repeating yourself. And then also there's a main channel that they feel comfortable with, that we feel comfortable with airing out any questions or any comments that we have. Kasi merong one place to do it. Hindi ka nagkakalat-kalat lang na you're just sending. Another way that I incorporate scheduling something for communication is every morning I expect for a daily report from the people I work with. So if ako yung manager nila, I expect them to send me a daily report, what they did yesterday, what are they doing today, and yung focus nila. That's another way of communicating. Even that's just through email. I don't have to directly answer it always. Pero it's another way na alam nila in their head, like, oh, I can ask this during this meeting. I can ask that during this email. So parang hindi ka nagkakalat kasi you have a place, you have a time to actually communicate with someone. And then lastly, we're almost done, yung best practices natin when it comes to having communication skills. So one, again, sasabihin ko talaga to and I'll say it over and over again, is ask questions. You never know if the question that you are asking is someone that someone else in the room really wants to ask and is really shy about, or even they don't know that they can ask this question, or even that they don't know na it's something that they can bring up. Yun, di ba? You're helping other people gain clarity. So ask question. If right now, mommies, titas, and ates, if you have any questions on communication skills, comment them right now so I can go through it after this. And then again, you never know if a question that you have is someone else is too shy to ask. And then of course, be open. Don't be closed off. Don't be someone who blocks someone else's ideas just because you think you have the best one, because you probably have other ways to look at things, or a way you can combine it. So you want to be open when you're communicating. You want to be someone who is on a growth mindset. So growth mindset is you're open for other possibilities. You're not the only one who's right, because the world is constantly changing. There's always going to be someone else who has a different perspective, who's gone through something different than you did, that might have a different way that they can do it, that they can probably do it faster than what you have gone through. And that's not, again, that's not something you should take personally. That's not something that you should take that, oh, they hate me, that's why they're saying this, that's why they're doing this. It's probably just because they've maybe gone through it as well. They've gone through the problem that you're trying to solve. And you just have to be open. That's just a really good way to be someone who's a good communicator, is if you're open to different possibilities, if you're open to different ways that things can happen. And then summarize. I said this earlier. It's important to write down notes. It's important to write out action steps. It's important to wrap up things na it's a cohesive, or it's a one way na everyone understands, especially if you're stating a problem and if you want to solve it. Having one way that you can speak, where people can understand that this is the problem, this is how bad it is, this is how not of a big deal it is, then it's easier for people to work together. And of course, in the household, if you're at home, it's easier for you to be able to talk to your kids about any problems that you might be having, and they'll be able to understand because you're able to summarize it in a way that it's not too cluttered. And then next, the best one is to show up, and showing up consistently. If you want to be a good communicator, if communication skills is something that you really want to work on, um, is you want to be there when they know that you are available. So that's just one easy way. So for example, my with the people that I work with, they know that they can contact me always on Messenger, even if it's a work thing. They don't have to always be on WhatsApp if they don't have WhatsApp, but they know that I will reply between blah 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 hours. I won't be available after 10 p.m. maybe. So yun yung boundaries nga sinaset ko sa kanila. So when you show up consistently, you're not just there for appear disappear ka lang. When you show up consistently for someone, you become dependable. You become the person that they want to go to. You become the person that they want to talk to. So if you really want to upgrade your own skills when it comes to being the person that they want to talk to when there's a problem, being the person who wants to present, or being the person who wants to become maybe a public speaker, you have to show up consistently for people, and not tend to disappoint them. And of course, if something, because life happens, canceling on a speech, canceling on a presentation, canceling on a meeting, you show up by telling them that you can't show up, not by disappearing, not by hiding. You show up by telling them that you can't show up. That's another way that you can show up. It's okay for you to cancel things if it's not something that you can do. So you have to keep that in mind. Okay, so I talk too fast. I keep that in mind. I did drink like a lot of black tea. Kaya parang hyper ako, pero I usually do speak really fast. So try to slow down because we are almost done. Next is you want to be kind. So I've said this a lot, and that's why it's in the best practices. Is you want to be someone who's empathetic. You want someone who sees both sides. You're not just seeing your side of things. You want to be someone who knows how to take someone's opinion, and even if it clashes against yours, you want to still say, "I understand. I get it. This is what it looks like for me." So that's being kind. And on the other side of it, when you're being kind, you are being clear to other person. You're being clear about a certain goal. You're being clear about a certain boundary. You're being clear about a certain question. So when you are kind, when you're communicating, then people are more eager to listen to what you say also. Hindi lang you're not the only person who's going to be, it's not going to be one-sided. They're also eager to listen, to hear from you, to see what you have to say when you're being kind, when you're being that person they actually listen to. Diba? You have in your head, there's probably a boss or a teacher that was your favorite because they're actually kind to you, they actually listen to you, and that is a trait of being a good communicator. Next is to personalize, especially now that we can just send mass emails really quickly. It's still better to personalize when you're sending someone a message, when you're sending someone an email, or just even on a Facebook chat. It's still better to say something that will get their attention. So even just mentioning their name, like hi Miss Blank, hi Miss, for me, hi Miss Lacaba. If I hear that, like I'm paying more attention to that person because that person obviously is paying attention to me. So keep that in mind, that you want to personalize still, you want to have that touch that you are just addressing this person, that you are keep have attention with this person. And then next is double check the message. This is actually something that is so applicable to me. That's happened to me too many times, where I don't double check if I'm sending to the right person, or this is email or even chat, sending to the right person, or I don't spell check it, or I don't double check if they can actually understand this. So when you double check the message that you're about to send, when you double check with yourself, when you practice on a mirror, or you write down the thing that you want to say to the other person, then you're able to take that pause and like, okay, this is not clear. I'll rewrite this. I'll redo this. I'll re-say this. Or later on, you can be, okay, to be clear, this is what I meant. So you want to double check the message that you're actually sending out to make sure that it is clear, that it is good, that people can understand this. And then, of course, practice and get feedback as much as possible. Like right now, I'm taking feedback from a lot of you that I talk too fast. So I'm trying to speak a little bit slower because that's the only way that you can communicate. So you have other people around you. You have people who have experienced other people, other very like effective communicators who can probably help you out. So as much as possible, you then want to be able to practice with them and say, hey, I have this speech coming up, or hey, I have this person who's kind of difficult to talk to, and I want to make sure that they understand what I'm saying. So you want to be able to practice and see if there's anything else, if there's other things that you can do better. Because that's the only way that you can grow. That's the only way that you can be a better person, is if you ask for feedback from a person. Okay, so I have recommended study. I will always end with books or videos that I recommend for all of you to study to be able to be better communicators. The first one is the book How to Win Friends and Influence People. I have read this book about 3 times already. I have so many notes everywhere. I know where my notebook is on this particular book. But when I was starting out on how to be someone who's effective communicating, I read this book. Has a lot of really good, a lot of the things that I just taught you, a lot of it is in this book. It's a really old book, but it's the a book that teaches you a lot of the ways that you can self-develop, a lot of the ways that you can make yourself a little bit better, a lot of the ways that you can also encourage yourself. And then for giving feedback, I recommend the book The 1 Minute Manager. I have it somewhere here, but it's a really short book. It's like a really short book. You can probably read it under an hour, and it's a book where you can learn how to give feedback, not just with the people that you work with, but you're also to yourself. Because then you can see in a different light how you could have done things better. This video that I recommend, that's on YouTube, it's free, is called A Complaint-Free World by Will Bowen. It's about 1 hour and 25 minutes. But it's a really good video if you want to learn how to not complain, how to be able to be solutions-oriented. So that's a really good video. And then the last one is Dare to Lead by Brene Brown. I mentioned this earlier, where you can learn how to be more empathetic leader, because you don't have to actually be a manager to be a leader. Keep that in mind. You don't have to be a manager to be a leader. So you want to be able to lead projects. You want to be able to lead people, or to even just lead yourself or your household maybe. So you want to learn how to be that effective person who can get people to the other side. So Dare to Lead is a really good book for that, and I really highly recommend that if you are someone who wants to develop themselves to become a leader. Okay, so that is all for today. I hope you all enjoyed this. I hope that was something that you appreciated. I'm now going to go into the Facebook Live to see if there's any questions for me there. Make sure that you commented. Okay, so we have this question. When is the right time that you can ask for an increase in salary? How would you do that? Let's say you've been working with a client for a month. Okay, so when it comes to increases in salary, there's always probably a three-step questions that you have to ask yourself first before you ask for an increase in salary. So the first one that you have to ask yourself is then, is the company that you're working for in a good place to give you a salary? You have to keep in mind that a salary is a moving forward expense. It's not going to be like a bonus. They just give it out to you and then they're done. It's going to be a moving forward expense. So let's say you're asking for even just 5,000 pesos or $100 in salary. Moving forward, can their business actually make it? Can their business actually maintain paying you for this much? So that's one thing to keep in mind when you're asking. The first thing that you have to keep in mind when you're asking for a salary is can they actually afford it? Because it might just be that something happened in your life, so you're asking for a raise in your salary. So when you do that, you have to again see if they can afford it. See if this is something that the company that you're working for or the boss that you're working for can actually afford. So that's the first one. Keep in mind that there's a lot of different expenses that you don't see when it comes to running a business. There's a lot of it about off the top of my head because I do run multiple businesses. So that's one. The second one is, have you actually been performing well? So you want to take a look at what you were hired for and see if you've been doing more than what was in the job description. Because then, that's one of the things that you can bring up with your boss is, I've been doing this, I was hired for this, but I've been doing more and more. Can I ask for a raise? So that's one. So I mean, that's the second one is actually evaluate yourself and where you're at, evaluate what it is that you've been doing the last couple of months, so you're able to have a good platform for when you actually bring it up. And the third one is, can you actually maintain that? Is that something, because then you kind of have to at the same time prove that you're worth this, that you're worth it for the raise moving forward, because you don't want to be given a raise and kind of slack off. So you have to keep that in mind, that if you're going to ask for a raise, you're going to actually prove to your boss that you're worth it, that you're actually worth what he's paying you for, and that he's not worried that he's going to run out of money because he gave you that raise. So those are the three big questions that you have to ask yourself before asking for an increase in salary. And then how would you do that? Okay, so if how to do that, I did a video on this on my YouTube channel a few months ago, and I'm trying to remember what I said there. But basically, you can start with that. You can say, I've been working for a month. I've actually been doing this and this tasks. I've actually been doing this results. I believe that I would, or you can go with, I would like to ask for a raise. And if you have a specific enough number, then the better. Like to ask for a raise of even just $100 a month, because I believe that I can perform better if I am not worrying about these other bills that I currently have. If I'm able to upgrade my own tools here at home, I need a better internet connection or whatever it is that you might need the raise for. And I believe that I can work so much more for you if I'm able to have this raise. So that's one way that you can ask for a raise. I hope that helps. Let me know. Okay, so next one is how to handle someone who is ghosting you for some time, then talks to you like nothing happened. Okay, so that is a communication thing. Okay, so when that happens, confront them, but not in a bad way. Again, you're not attacking a person. You're going to ask for, if there was a reason, if there's something that you did that caused this. So you are going to just address it. Don't just it's part of setting boundaries. If you addressing it firsthand of like, hey, that was not okay when you did that. Can you give me a reason if for why that happened? Or hey, I haven't heard from you in a month. Did something happen? So you're just kind of not attacking. You're just asking for an explanation if they have one, and then of course let them know that it's you didn't feel okay, you didn't feel good when they did that. So that's actually in the book, also in the book 1 Minute Manager, of how to be able to express your feelings without being too emotional. So when it comes to ghosting, I know that does not feel good at all. So better to address it, because then if you don't address it, if you just let it slide, if you just let it that it's okay for them to not communicate with you. That's why you're creating boundaries. If you're showing them that it's okay not to communicate with you, then they're probably going to do it again anyway. So keep that in mind. Okay. Any questions? Any other questions? Make sure to comment below if you have any questions on upgrading your communication skills. Yeah, I'm just looking for if there's any questions that I passed through. Okay, so far there's none. By the way, this is recorded, so if you missed this one, if you didn't see, there's going to be a replay that's going to be in Fhmoms, Facebook, and on YouTube as well. So yeah. Again, I'm going through the comments on Facebook. If meron akong na-miss, feel free to ask. Any more questions on communication? You can ask me, how to ask for maybe a promotion also. Also, no, it's the same thing with asking for a raise and asking for a promotion. The same three things: evaluate if the company can afford it, evaluate your own skills, and then of course evaluate if you can keep doing this moving forward. If this is something that you can maintain, because a lot of the time, your boss can't pay you less just because right away, because a lot of the time it's actually not advisable for HR for us to minimize someone's pay. So you have to keep that in mind. So when we're giving a raise, because then if the company has problems, if the company starts getting financial problems, then we can't take it back because we already said that we were going to give this raise. Okay, any more questions? Feel free to chat. Feel free to ask me. If you are watching the replay, you can still comment it and I'll try to go through it later. I know there's a lot of comments, but I'll make sure as much as possible that I go through them. Any other questions? I think we're kind of good. I hope this was something that was good for all of you. I hope this is something that you have enjoyed. I hope this is something that will help you when it comes to communicating, with having your communication skills. Also, comment below what are the other soft skills that you want to learn, because then that's going to be the topic for the next month. Comment anything that you want to learn when it comes to soft skills, when it comes to working online, whether it's leadership skills, whether it's I will actually open up yung uh, yung presentation from last month so you can see other what are the different types of soft skills then maybe that you might be interested in for the next talk. Wait lang. Okay, so ito yung slides natin from last month. So we have time management, we have creativity skills, we have problem solving, we have teamwork, we have adaptability, we have self-confidence, we have self-motivation, we have decision making, we have leadership, yung sinabi ko. So if any of those you want me to focus on in the next part, let me know, and I'll make sure that I will go through that and I'll make the slides for them. So I think that was it for today. I look forward to seeing you all next. I think I'm going. It's basically every first Wednesday. That's when I go live here. So on June, that would be June 3. So I hope to see you all on June 3. Again, comment below if there's any questions, and I'll try to go through them, even though you're watching the replay. And as a last thing, are you sharing the slides? Yes, I will. Last month, I also shared the same slides, and I'll make sure to put them up also inside of the group, and I'll share them so you all can go through them. As a last thing, I hope this is okay. Is one of the things that I do as a virtual ate is I actually train people how to work online. So in the next week, actually starting May 18, I will be doing the Work Anywhere Challenge. This is actually version 2 because we just did the pre-pilot for April. So if you are interested, it's a 10-day challenge. So every night I will go live. It's a paid challenge, by the way. Every night I will go live on a Facebook group where I will walk them through how to work from home. The goal for this every time is to, at the end of the 10 days, have them have already a potential job. One of them got like the first class that we did, one of them got one on day 7, which was funny and crazy. But they took so much action that they already got a job by day 7. You get worksheets, templates. Of course, your coaches. They have multiple people who have worked online who's also part of the challenge. You get feedback on your resume, your application letter, and then you also get a certificate of completion. And then if you miss a class, all the sessions are recorded, so you can rewatch at any time. So message me if that's something you are interested in. Let me know. And then I enjoyed teaching. I enjoyed talking about this today. So thank you for everyone who tuned in, to everyone who watched. And I look forward to seeing questions if you have them. So bye, everyone.